Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 6. I think this is where you're going to start to see where each week starts to build on top of the other one. So this week we're actually starting our design process of your project, of your course that you're building. So this past week with Kate, you did an analysis report, and so that starts to become a foundation of what you're building this week, and then it'll start to influence the weeks after this. So what we have going on this week. The big thing is that I would really like you to look at the examples and the templates and the tips that we have for what we're starting to build this week, the actual high-level design process and your production pathway. So not only do we have a couple of examples for you to look at, we also have templates. So the barrier in we do not want coming up with sort of a format for these items to be the barrier, so feel free to use the template, and I want you to really focus on the content of what you're producing this week. So feel free to use the templates, feel free to look at some of the other examples and build something on your own as well, but these are essentially going to just be you can do these in a Word document. So what we're doing, we don't have any discussions this week. What we are doing is a design plan and a production pathway. So your design plan, I'm going to get to it here so I can tell you a little bit more about it. So the design plan is essentially going to be, you're going to have findings from your analysis report. So that's going to kind of start to be your basis. And then from there, you're going to have your design plan, and that's going to look typically more like a 2-column approach. On one side, you're going to have the content. The content would be different items, topics, subtopics that you want your learners to know. And this is not necessarily, you don't have to think of this conceptually as what is going to be on the screen at this point, but you're wanting to think through your objective, or you may have 2 objectives, but ultimately you want to have that your one objective that you've identified, or 2. And so for that objective, you're going to have a couple of different topics, some different items that you want learners to know. So you're going to list that on one side of your column. On the other side of the column across from that is where you're going to then say, okay, in order for the learner to know this content, they're going to be doing this, seeing this, watching this, doing a certain activity, watching a video. You don't have to really, I think, know visually completely what this is going to look like in the end, but you want to start thinking about how is the learner going to absorb and learn this content and knowledge that you are wanting them to. So that's essentially what your design plan is going to start looking like. Again, we have the examples and templates that we'd like you to use. Moving on then to the production pathway table. So this is sort of then a companion to your design plan. So you're thinking of your design plan more from the content side of things, and then in your production pathway, you want to think about all the different tools that you're going to need to use and how you're going to use them in order to accomplish your design. So that's going to be anything from graphics to audio, video, your courseware development tool. So that's a big one, right? That's either your Captivate, Storyline, Rise, Canvas, whatever you're using. And then you also want to list then where you're going to eventually put your final project. So that's on your website, WordPress, Weebly site, or Canvas as well. So that's the production pathway table, and we also have the example there for you to see. We also have a few rubrics that are helpful. That's what Kate and I will use to evaluate these parts of your project. But again, there's no discussions this week because we really want you to focus on these 2 components. They're pretty big ones in terms of laying the stage and laying the map and the process for what you're going to start building. So that's what we're working on this week, but make sure and let us know, even though we don't have discussions this week, make sure and let us know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great week.